great stomach for the battle off the field, and they stuck by each other, and they were very, for better or for worse, and they stuck through it, you know. And today is the perfect opportunity for them to show it on the field. I mean, if they have anything in them at all, this is the day for them to really go to war against Kerry.
No doubt about that. But having said that, Colin O'Rourke against Limerick, that last day they were looking to win that match.
Yeah, unless people are underestimating Limerick, you know, and that's also a worry that people in Meath might have, because obviously Limerick outplayed Cork on the day and they were a man short, but you know, you'd have to think that was a bit of a spineless performance, and it must run against the grain of somebody like Conor Coonahan, because when Conor Coonahan was playing centre back against Kerry in all his years with Cork, the one thing you associated with him was heart and fight and
Cork
courage.
were going toe to toe with Kerry in those days.
And they were winning. They're like, you know, that was the best run that Cork have had in 50 years against Kerry. And now it's back to the normal thing, you know, where Kerry, I think, have won, 10 of the last 12 outings, and won most of them very, very convincingly. So it's up to Cork to put a bit of battle into this today.
All right, we'll have more of this match shortly, but at this point here in the programme we're going to head back to our studio in Dublin, where Joanne Cantwell is standing by to bring us up to date on all that's been happening so far on this weekend in Gaelic Games.
And they come down to us, and we have terrible, great sound friends behind it all.
The government in a minority state. They're now supporting a football team in a minority state. Kerry will not do it. They may sneak through in a Munster final, but we now have a second chance. This Cork team will this time finally make up for all the disappointments and go all the way.
Probably wrong about that one as well.
Cork team looks like today, with team captain Graham Canty starting despite doubts about his availability due to that injured shoulder he picked up in training. Kieran O'Connor and Anthony Lynch replaced the injured Paddy Cassan and Noel O'Leary on the left side of the defence, while Derek Kavanagh is back for a spell of centre field duty. A little strange perhaps to see Nicholas Murphy named at number 10, where he joins Pearse O'Neill and Nemo Rangers' Seanie O'Brien in the half forward line. No place on the starting 15 for James Masters, but the full forward line still looks strong, where Daniel Goulding, Donnacha O'Connor and John Hayes are selected. For the people of Cronan and their local GA club, it's probably their greatest day. Two players, Donnacha Walsh and Sean O'Sullivan, are named to the Kerry half forward line for this Munster football final. Further back, the defence that started in the All-Ireland final last year is the same, with goalkeeper Diarmuid Murphy as always between the posts. Despite a groin problem, Dara O'Shea is named at midfield with Seamus Scanlon, while for the second championship match in a row, Brian Sheehan joins Colm Cooper and Kieran Donaghy in the full forward line. Well, Martin Carney joins me. Let's look in more depth here. Alan Quirk will be hoping for better rewards than the All-Ireland final, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, very much so. It affords him the opportunity basically to restore his reputation after that All-Ireland final debacle.
Graham Canty at full, that's vital, isn't it, Martin?
Yeah, but I don't think he'll play there, to be honest with you, and he's flanked by Diarmuid Duggan and Kieran O'Connor, one very loose, the other very inexperienced.
Good to have Anthony Lynch as a substitute to come on and in there at left half back.
Yeah, great player, and again, hopefully he'll return to his best form. A forceful centre back in Ger Spillane, and Brian O'Regan again, very natural footballer.
What do you think of the midfield partnership?
Well, Derek Kavanagh again, very good footballer. Alan O'Connor, tall and quite imposing, but a lot of work to do in there to master Kerry.
Can I presume correctly that Nicholas Murphy will operate as a third midfielder?
Well, a third midfielder, an extra defender, I'd say, and Pearse O'Neill alongside him, and Seanie O'Brien actually will be mopping up around the midfield area also. Expect none of them to get on the scoreboard.
As I mentioned, the scene said no James Masters.
No James Masters. John Hayes is in there. Donnacha O'Connor to me is the real jewel in that line, and Daniel Goulding, if he can more or less build on his under-21 form, should be a real handful for Kerry.
Kerry goalkeeper Diarmuid Murphy, reliable as always.
Reliable, efficient, you know, very commanding, a great kick out.
Full back line, Mark O'Shea is there, Tom O'Sullivan, it's very strong.
Very strong line, but I think Tom O'Sullivan's full back could be exploited actually by Donnacha O'Connor.
Half-back line that won the All-Ireland final, there again.
There again, yeah, it's Mosa Shea to my mind, the pulse of the team. Aidan O'Mahony, strong, great presence, will hold the middle, and Killian Young will build on what he did last year.
And Dara O'Shea is back for another championship.
And for another championship, a wonderful servant, but must get a lot more help from Seamus Scanlon actually. The legs can't keep going forever for Dara.
Well, Martin, no Declan O'Sullivan, no Paul Galvin here. It's a rather strange half-forward line.
Strange half-forward line again. Big boots to fill for Donnacha Walsh. Sean O'Sullivan, though, to my mind, is the best player in the Kerry team to actually feed Donaghy in it full forward.
And what about this for a full forward line?
Well, it's instinctive, it's brilliant. You have the player who's probably the top player of his generation in Colin Cooper. Donaghy, a wonderful target man, and Brian Sheehan will get most scores today of all of them from frees.
Well, let's look at the head-to-head. It's the battle of the full forwards this afternoon. Donaghy O'Connor from Cork facing Kieran Donaghy of Kerry. And let's go back to Michael.
Thanks, Marty. At this point here on the Sunday Game Live, we have another commercial break coming up. Can Cork beat the old enemy today and claim the Munster title?
In a row. Well, there was the 4 in a row, and then Seamus Darby's goal, that was the 5 in a row. Tadhg Murphy's would have been the 6 in a row, and then we won the next 3, so that goal stopped us winning 9 in a row. And
I might do that actually, yeah. I could do with a few days gloating in the kingdom. But whatever way the game goes on Sunday, I know on Monday night I'll be here at Late Night Radio, and that text there will be clicking non-stop with text. I fear they may well be from Kerry, rubbing salt in my wounds on Monday. That's what the betting man would say, but I'm not a betting man, I'm a Cork man, and there is a difference.
The man was sitting beside me at the match, and he says, the wife wouldn't come. And I said, why? But he said, I won a weekend for 2 in the Kerry Man newspaper, and she overheard me on the phone ringing up the paper asking, was there any chance they could change it for 2 weekends for 1? So.
My own children asked me recently, we were talking about boys and girls, and somebody asked me, one of the girls asked me, Dad, when was your first crush? And I had to say it was at the Munster final in 1973. Behind the goal, I was squashed when Jimmy Barry Murphy came on and literally tore Kerry asunder. And for a boy like me, who had spent a couple of years in boarding school in Kerry, that Cork victory was really sweet. And I'll always remember, great team, great men, have proven to be great middle-aged men now as well, people like Jimmy Barry Murphy, 19-year-old, the skinhead from the city, brilliant, tore them apart. Who needed Georgie best? We had Jimmy Barry Murphy, he even had 3 names, brilliant.
My only sister married a Cork man, you know, and he's the most accurate Cork forward of all time. They went to bed 4 times and they had 4 children. As you know, most Cork forwards miss from 14 yards out. No, we've great respect for each other, and we love them dearly, except for that one day a year.
Well, it can be guaranteed there'll be some banter in both counties, no matter who wins or loses this Munster final. But that's the question, who is going to win or lose it? Looking at some of the key players, I suppose, Colin on both sides. We've heard about Graham Canty, we've heard about Derry Kavanagh and so on. How is that going to pan out?
Well, Joe Kavanagh anyway. Thanks, Joe, for giving us the inside line. I'm quite sure that
didn't exactly have to be dragged.
The Kerry management must be very impressed with having a spy in the Cork camp. And with Graham Canty going to sit in front of Donaghy, you're supposed to figure that anyway. But that obviously means Nicholas Murphy comes into midfield to play on Darragh O'Shea. And of course they've had a great rivalry, and sometimes an unhealthy rivalry over the last 5 years. That Nicholas Murphy has done well here in Munster finals, but when it came to Croke Park, Darragh O'Shea has tramped all over, and destroyed him. And I think the humiliation that a lot of these Cork players suffered in last year's final is going to be very, very difficult to get over.
From a Kerry point of view, I mean, every sport has stars in it. And Kerry have 2 of the biggest stars in Gaelic football, in Gooch Cooper, obviously, and the star himself, Kieran Donaghy.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt. And, of course, Donaghy also has got that charisma, and that flush in his cheeks, and as I said, he's the man that every sort of father wants to see coming home with the daughter, I mean, he's got the whole package, and, I mean, he's he's a team player, totally unselfish, great hands, great vision. I mean, up until the All-Ireland final last year, he'd only scored 2 points from play. But I mean, the vast amount of stuff that he had set up. And Cooper, of course, is, I think, without any doubt, the most naturally gifted footballer of his generation. But last year, Cork
went... show Kerry people, by the way, that Kieran Donaghy is playing. The Kerry team are down there, but Kieran actually has got a T-shirt, a white T-shirt on him, down there on the field. Sorry, Joe.
Last year, they went man-to-man on the 2 lads, which was a disaster. And Monaghan showed, and our man Tyrone have showed how to try to deal with these guys, and that's with some sort of a sweeper playing in front. And today, Joe Kavanagh has told us that that Canty's going to play as a sweeper, which is a very good idea. Kavanagh behind, because there's no way you can handle Donaghy one-on-one. You need to stop that area in there, because Kerry are extremely defensive. against Derry in the league final, and throughout the league they played with basically 11, 12 players in the defence, a two-man forward line, moving the ball forward, long diagonal balls.
Yeah, but the danger with this is that it's going to release the likes of Tomás O'Shea and Aidan O'Mahony and Killian Young with more room to attack from the back, and of course
And
they're very good at doing things like that.
Better to do that, Colin, than to surrender around the edge of the square the way Cork did in the All-Ireland final last year. I mean, 3 goals from high balls, pretty rudimentary stuff, high balls coming in, ending up in the net through, the panic that Cooper and Donaghy engender. I mean, it's not, the full-backs are free to attack the ball this way when he knows there's a sweeper in front. You saw it against Monaghan. Donaghy had terrible problems getting into the game. Cooper wasn't able to get into the game at all. The simple expedient of playing a man in front of Donaghy and attacking the ball hard, it gives the defence confidence in. The full-back isn't panicking all the time, where is he?
Well,
and I mean, there's no way you can go out and play man-to-man against those two, because they'll destroy you.
The idea is
extraordinary gifts.
The idea, of course, is to keep it in for a low-scoring game.
Absolutely.
The conditions will help. Cork will set themselves up very defensively and hope that they keep Kerry maybe 10, 11 points. And if they do that, they have a chance of winning, especially if they can stop Kerry scoring goals, and that's been the big problem for them. The Cork attack wouldn't look as if they have a huge scoreline in them. Donald O'Connor
James Masters been one of the best footballers in the country the last couple of years, and are they taking a gamble just not throwing him in?
No, because James Masters has been destroyed by Mark O'Shea in the head-to-head meetings every time that they have met over the last few years. And, maybe it's a brave decision. Maybe Masters would do more coming on and maybe free himself from the shackles of Mark O'Shea. But, this Cork attack in all the games that we have seen them, the players that are coming in like Daniel Goulding, they really have to step up to the plate today. But, it's a big, strong, physical Cork team around the middle of the field who look as if they will win plenty of possession, but whether they'll be able to score enough remains to be seen.
And looking at the Kerry side of it, Joe, because of injury and suspension, that's half-forward line isn't the powerhouse that it might have been, say, last year.
No, it isn't. Although, interestingly, neither of them were available during the league. And in their absence, it was really Brian Sheehan's freeze that took up the slack. I mean, another interesting statistic is that Sheehan scored 68% of Kerry's scores in the National League, nearly all of them from placed balls. And I mean, I don't know if there's something in the water in Cahair-Saiveen, but the fact that the two most extraordinary free takers that we've seen over the last 20 years have both come from such a tiny parish, I imagine now that Morris has done a lot of work with Brian Sheehan.
Yeah.
And I mean, but his free taking is extraordinary, and it's a huge weapon for Kerry, particularly when they're playing ultra defensively, as they have been doing. To have Sheehan there taking anything from 55 yards, just going over the bar. And Kerry's game now is built on hyper defence. I mean, it's defence. That's the foundation of it. And then with Donaghy and Cooper nicking the scores and Sheehan there to take the frees, it compensates to some extent. But I mean, Pat O'Shea's right. You can't replace those two lads because they're dogs of war in there.
Okay, to wrap up, gentlemen, there are so many ponderables and imponderables about this match. The Paul Galvin thing, the strike in Cork, but the All-Ireland final of last year, and all is said and done, Colin. Can Cork do it today?
Well, I very much doubt it, because, if the likes of Sean O'Sullivan and Donnacha Walsh, there is opportunity. There's loss on the one hand, but there's opportunity for them as young men to break into the team and stay there. And my overriding feeling about this Munster final is, does it really matter that much whether Darragh O'Shea has 10 or 11 or 25 Munster senior medals? The real business end of things is going to take place in August. I think it's a bit like England and Germany in the soccer. Cork will play well. It's a bit like England and Germany win. I think it's a bit like that with Cork. They'll try all day and Kerry will probably win.
Joe, they've met 14 times since 2000. Kerry have won most of those, 9 of them. Cork only won 2.
The important thing for Cork today is to try to start breaking this psychological stranglehold. I mean, you can't, in Gaelic football, you can't be beaten by 10 and 15 points. I mean, it shouldn't happen with teams that are, should be notionally on the same sort of level. And Cork need to start today to sort of set down a marker. It's a big opportunity for Cork because there's not much in this game for Kerry.
But Cork could get a lot out of this game by losing, even if they put up a really battling performance. They could see there is a bright future for them.
I'm sure they'll want to win it, though. At the same time, gentlemen, they are in the parade, as you can see here at Páirc Keeve, and for the moment the sun is shining. So we're all set then to hand over to the commentary box to rejoin Marty Morrissey and Martin Kearney.
Thank you very much, Michael. Well, I'm delighted to report the sun is shining on the banks of the Lee, and Graham Canty, as we anticipated, is going to play. We're wondering where he's going to start. The theory is he's going to play at wing forwards, with Derek Kavanagh moving to fullback, Nicholas Murphy moving to midfield. Torrential rain in West Cork and indeed around Kerry might have dampened and diluted the fans' support and enthusiasm for this particular fixture, but still they're expecting between 15 and 20,000 people. Full house here is around 45,000, so it's a severe drop, and I'm sure that the Munster Council and indeed the GAA will be concerned about the drop in attendances right across the country, but particularly here for this Munster final. As Michael was saying, this is the 14th championship meeting between these two counties, so there is naturally a certain amount of apathy, and in the previous 13 meetings, Kerry have won 9, Cork have won twice, and 2 draws included in that CV. The last draw was 2006, and of course lots have happened since last year's All-Ireland final when Kerry won handsomely. Conor Coonahan is now the manager of Cork. There's been a strike in Cork, and the suspension, of course, of the Kerry captain as well, and Declan O'Sullivan. So there's an awful lot of happenings in both Kerry and Cork. Martin Carney is with me. Kerry 3 in a row, Pat O'Shea driving the bus. Lots of anticipation and excitement.
Yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see how Kerry play today. Again, they weren't particularly impressive the last day against Clare. And again, you know, the last really big competitive game was against Derry, and they didn't win that. And, you know, without the 2 wing forwards that they have done so much in terms of winning ugly ball over the last couple of years, that's Paul Galvin and Declan O'Sullivan. It'll be interesting to see whether Donegal Walsh and Sean O'Sullivan can give that supply to the full forward line that, you know, that full forward line needs so badly in order to accumulate a winning score. And then at the other side of the field, you know, Tom O'Sullivan, to my mind, is, I'm not saying a disaster waiting to happen, but I think he can be exposed actually by Donegal O'Connor if ball goes in quickly enough to him. I've seen him a couple of times in the National League. I didn't think he was as imposing or as impressive as he had been in the past, and I just think he's an area that, or he's a person that actually Cork might try and exploit.
The full back line, though, however, they won in All-Ireland last year, so...
Yeah, there's a lot of experience in that full back line, but again, I think, to be honest about it, Mark O'Shea does an awful lot for the 3 of the players there. He does an awful lot of covering. He's a really inspirational player, and I think the cover also for most O'Shea and Aidan O'Mahony takes a lot of pressure off the full back line.
But with the back door now available, Martin, right across the country, is the provincial system losing its attraction?
Well, certainly not for Cork today if they go and beat Kerry. I don't think it's losing its attraction. I mean, you tell that to Fermanagh when they play Armagh in a couple of weeks' time, is it losing its attraction? For them it'll mean everything to go and win the provincial title. You tell that to Mayo and Galway next Sunday in front of 35,000 people in Castlebar, is it losing its attraction? It is to an extent in that there is a back door open, but the provincial title still in the system that we have is very, very important.
Well, here in Munster, of course, it's very much a 2-horse race at the moment. It's a repeat of the All-Ireland football final of 2007. It's a Munster title at stake, and for Cork and Kerry people, it's a vital part of their life. It's an annual fixture almost, and when it didn't happen, when Clare and Tipperary and Limerick interrupted, Cork and Kerry people weren't too happy. Here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, on the banks of the Lee, it's time for our Round of Ian. It was the story of the winter. Cork footballers going on strike. It ended with Conor Coonahan taking charge. They got badly hammered in the All-Ireland final last September. Cork have an awful lot at stake here, much more so perhaps than Kerry. Can it inspire them? Derek Fahey is making his very first visit to Páirc Uí Chaoimh for a championship match, and it's his very first obvious Munster final. It's his 6th championship match in total, 3rd year on the referees panel, and already I can tell you that Graham Canty is at midfield. Those changes are correct. Derek Kavanagh is gone back to full-back, so a little bit of tactical games being played by Cork. Will the plan work? It's the Munster final of 2008. It's Cork and Kerry. Kerry won the toss, playing from left to right. Already it's the first free and the first foul on Graham Canty by Dara O'Shea, testing out that shoulder that was injured in training last Tuesday. Here's the challenge as Dara came in, a little push on Canty, free from where the ball landed. First opportunity for Cork.
Yeah, and could I just mention Graham Canty now has gone back in front of the full back line. You can expect Nicholas Murphy to come out into the midfield, and Canty will play as a sweeper.
This ball is going just over the crossbar. Point by Daniel Goulding. Taking over that role that we associate very much with James Masters, and as you can see from that camera angle, just snooped inside the post. All-star goalkeeper, 2004 and 5. First choice now for the last 5 years. Tomas O'Shea. Big, high, dropping ball for the Star. Kieran Donaghy, knocked away by Derek Calvin. Out fires Nicholas Murphy. Donica Walsh coming in to challenge. Slipping it through far as Ger Spillane. Cork attacking these Kerry boys as much as they can. Ball slipped through by Dermot Duggan. Far as John Hayes. Long ball, good ball. Tom O'Sullivan slips. O'Connor gets a touch to it, but O'Sullivan has recovered. Lays it off to his captain, Tomás O'Shea. Corey Greedy. Cornerback has gone forward into an attacking role. Cork defence look a little bit exposed here. Chance of a point, but it's well wide of the target.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting tactical battle now in the sense that Canty is playing as a loose man in front of his full back line. And what we'll notice then is that Killian Young is becoming now a free man in the Kerry half back line. And that time between himself and Reedy to work the ball the whole way up, and that'll become a feature of the game over the next 10 minutes or so.
Kick out by Alan Quirk. Aimed at Nicholas Murphy. Got O'Shea. They've had some great battles over the years. Younger brother Tomás coming forward. Still Tomás. Slipping it through. Chance of a point for Kerry. Well taken. Donica Walsh puts his name on the scoreboard. All came from the incisive run from Tomás O'Shea. It's an easy tap over for the Kerry wing forward.
And all came also because of the Canty tactic that Cork are applying at the moment. They're leaving an extra man on that far side of the field, and Kerry twice have exploited that and are having the overlap on the attack.
Very much a man-marking job being done. I noticed that Kieran O'Connor, who's playing at left cornerback, is marking Sean O'Sullivan, who has switched wings. Seamus Scanlon had a fine championship season last year, really came of age. Breaking ball, Anthony Lynch. 4 Cork players around. And it's Lynch who does the cleaning up. Nicholas Murphy. Back to Lynch once more. That familiar left leg. Kicking that ball up towards O'Connor. A little bit of a push on Tom O'Sullivan. It's going to be a free for the All-Ireland champions. See O'Connor just pushing slightly on his marker. Half block, but still works for Kerry here. Donica Walsh. Heavy rain making it quite difficult here in Cork for the footballers. Bursting through here is Brian Sheehan. 2 Cork players around him. One is Shawnee O'Brien, the other is Dermot Duggan. Free to Kerry.
Yeah, that double teaming again, that's becoming a feature of the Cork tackling at the moment. Again, resulted in the free in that time. They've got to be a little bit more disciplined with a place kicker of Sheehan's calibre in the Kerry team.
Colm Cooper going to take this. Gives you the angle. It's curling. The umpires feel it's over the bar. Alan Quirk is arguing with the umpire. And I have to say, I can actually sympathise or empathise with Alan Quirk, because it did look as if it was curling to the right here. Let's see if this camera angle proves the point.
Don't think it proves it actually. It's very difficult, although from our position here in the commentary box, which is perfectly positioned, I thought it had drifted wide.
Difficult really to say, to be honest with you. But like Alan Quirk, the Cork goalkeeper, I think we both felt that that ball was curling right and wide. Dermot Duggan. Off a Kerry hand. Sideline ball to Cork. Here's O'Neill. First to the ball. Tom O'Sullivan. Over Kerry. A little bit harsh, but correct.
Yeah, but he's won the first 3 man-to-man contests with Donegal O'Connor, and that'll give him an awful lot of satisfaction.
No weakness there yet, Martin.
No, I thought he would be a weakness, and clearly Cork thought the same thing in the way they're trying to pump the ball directly into him. He stood up very well.
Here's Donnacha O'Connor. Thomas Sullivan with him. Goes under his left boot. Good defending by Donnacha Walsh. Breaking ball, picked up by Pierce O'Neill. Ball comes free. Picked up by Thomas Sullivan. To Tomas O'Shea. Shayna Scanlon provides the overlap. Coming down the right wing, Donnacha Walsh. Out of shot at the moment. Owen Brosnan to the Gooch. Tries to get a hand in it. Succeeds. Picks it up. Difficult to hold. Ball bobbles all over the place. It's Kieran O'Connor from Ahada. Same club as his manager, Conor Coonahan. Anthony Lynch from Ballyvourney. Sending it in nice and low for Donnacha O'Connor. Gathers it chest high. Overlap provided. Ball supplied, but free given. Quickly taken. Chance here for Goulding. Takes a shot over the bar. Level for the second time in Páirc Queen. Both Cork points scored by the number 13, Daniel Goulding.
Yeah, but you've got to credit Shawnee O'Brien again. A lovely piece of quick thinking. Saw Goulding on the far wing, perfectly loose. Again, quickly delivered pass and a very well taken point.
Breaking ball. Picked up by Pierce O'Neill. Sent in low by Aidan O'Connor, or Alan O'Connor. And that's going to be a sideline ball this time for Kerry. Mark O'Shea gives it back to Thomas Sullivan. Brings that O'Shea into the action. Killian Young from Rayner, just outside Chaoimh. Two Cork footballers chasing one Kerry man here. Derek Kavanagh. Nemo man gets the frame. Quickly taken by Graham Canty. There's John Hayes. Carbery Rangers. At 3 points against Limerick. Killian Young available. Marking tight. Alan O'Connor. Coming from centre half back, right corner back, Dermot Duggan from the centre back position. Here is the centre back, Ger Spillane, Nicholas Murphy. Right and wide. Second wide, first wide actually for Cork in this game.
Yeah, they're settling very well. Again, they're double teaming so far. Donaghy's working very well. Canty and both Canty and Derek Kavanagh are doing quite well in that. As against that, Kerry are not putting the ball in directly. They're carrying it through their lines at the moment, so it's just settling down very nicely the game.
It's an enjoyable start to this Munster final, I must say as well. Tomas O'Shea. Again, it's the long, big, high ball aimed at Scar. Kieran Donaghy. Booch goes after it, but Cullum is turning around and saying, will you let in the ball properly? Sideline ball, picked off the ground perhaps.
He wasn't 13 metres from the ball. That's exactly it. He was too close to the kicker when he received it, so it's a free in now for Kerry.
Looks like it's going to be a throw ball now.
Throw ball actually, yeah. Yeah, that's the correct decision actually, throw ball.
High challenge. Going to be a free in for Kerry. This is Brian Sheehan from St. Mary's, Chaoimh. He had his championship debut against Cork 3 years ago. Very much the man in form against Clare. That Munster semi-final, scoring 5 points. Kerry fans respond even before the ball had reached the target. Nice, easy style of Brian Sheehan. He judged it perfectly.
Might be a nice, easy style, but that was not a nice, easy place kick. That was a wonderful strike, actually, from a very difficult angle. It's a beautiful style, though, as you said. Kick out is aimed at Alan O'Connor.
Ball skids off the surface. So does Alan O'Connor. Sean O'Sullivan going to take this. Into the gooch. Left boot. Ball flies and it's over the bar. Well, I think everybody in the country, and certainly the Cork people should know, and Cork defenders should know, that it is going to be definitely the left boot. Anthony Lynch was just off his marker there.
Yeah, that was far too easy altogether. Again, very clever off the ball movement by the other Kerry forwards. Left it 1-to-1 between the Gooch and Anthony Lynch. Lynch was far too far behind him and made it very easy for Cooper to score that.
Seamus Scanlon did well. Tomas O'Shea. To Dara. To Páirc Reedy. Aidan O'Mahony getting it from Killian Young. Anthony Lynch punching it down. Donica Walsh coming through. Graham Canty acting as a sweeper. John Hayes. Nobody readily available for John. And the reinforcements are slow in arriving. Touched off the ground by right half back Brian O'Regan. Free to Kerry. Lobbing it in high to Donaghy. Knocked away momentarily by Derek Kavanagh. Here's the start. Forcing his way forward. Chance of a Kerry goal. Donica Walsh got the touch. Simplicity. As Starr got inside the Cork cover rather easily. Laid it off. Touch in by Donica Walsh. Graham Canty could do nothing about it.
Yeah, great body strength, and again, vision by Donaghy that time. Might have actually kind of earned a penalty there had he gone down. His body strength kept him going. Walsh saw the opportunity and took it expertly.
Graham Canty could do nothing about it.
That all came about actually as a poor kick out from the goalkeeper in the first place. Again, put pressure on the Cork defence. And the other thing again, the absence of a half-forward line at the moment is giving them no outlet to let the ball up to.
Killian Young. Tomas O'Shea. The Kerry half-back line in control. And as I say that, of course, he gives the ball away, but they are in control. And as Martin was saying, there is no Cork half-forward line at the moment. Ball picked off the ground by Páirc Reedy. John Hayes going to take this. Cork's mental strength tested again. Dermot Duggan comes from the right corner back. Lays it off. Chance here for Ger Spillane. Has a pop, but that's left and wide.
Yeah, that's the second time actually that Dermot Duggan has kind of sallied up into the forward line and again give a nice offload that time to Ger Spillane. Again, they're having to attack from deep because of the absence of a half-forward line. You know, this concertina effect of bringing half-backs back into the, or half-forwards back into the half-back line and half-forwards up into the half-backs into the half-forward line isn't working for Cork at the moment.
Breaking ball picked up by Killian Young. Dara O'Shea. Brian Sheehan. Dermot Duggan, the defender. Back to Killian Young. Seamus Scanlon in the centre. Dispossessed. Ball given away. Despite John Hayes' best efforts. Dara O'Shea. Tomas O'Shea. Long, big, high ball again. In towards Donaghy. Knocked away. The referee says that's a free for the Kingdom. And Cork are in trouble with Kieran Donaghy.
Oh, very much so. Again, the direct ball in that time, okay. Kavanagh was all over him and again earned the free in, okay. But again, there are too many Cork players at the moment idling in that half of the field. They need to get one or two of them pressed forward again because most of the trouble is coming when the ball goes over the halfway line. There isn't a Cork half-forward line.
Simple tap over for Brian Sheehan. one happy Kerry supporter. Conor Coonahan won 2 All-Ireland medals, highly respected in Gaelic football. There's the possession statistics for you, 53% at the moment for Kerry. The ball is dropped in, Anthony Lynch gathers, unattached. As Colin Cooper led him off, down for Shawnee O'Brien. Stopped in his tracks by Kieran Donaghy. Kerry lads are hitting, but they're hitting fair and hard.
There were 2 wonderful tackles by Donaghy that time. Fair as you can, textbook tackles when you get put each Cork player on the back of their pants.
Derek Kavanagh changes the direction of the play. Over for Nicholas Murphy. Gone inside is Donegal O'Connor. Willing to take on Tom O'Sullivan. Knocked off his grass. Out for 45. First 45 of the day here in Páirc Creek. Some of the shouldering here is quite fair. Watch this, Kieran Donaghy. As O'Brien seemed to go in almost frontal there, though I must say when you look at it from that, that's a fair shoulder to shoulder.
Well, it just shows you the body strength he has, apart from his vision and great hand ability. He's also so formidable when it comes to 50-50 clashes.
Over 10 minutes since Cork scored a point. They find themselves trailing by 8 points to 2 at the moment. O'Connor slips on the surface, could still work out from a lee side perspective, but Corey Greedy snaps on that loose ball to Tomás O'Shea. Aidan O'Mahony back to O'Shea once more. Gets away from 2 Cork lads, but didn't quite connect with the ball. Sideline ball to the Kingdom. Ger Spillane going to take it. Lobs it in towards big Nicholas Murphy. That O'Shea. Seamus Scanlon. Tom O'Sullivan. To Scanlon once more. Seemed to be clumsily fouled by Alan O'Connor. So another free for the Kingdom. Ball surprisingly given away by Tomás O'Shea. Nice scale from John Hayes. Hoping this goes off the posts, and it does, because it looked like from here it was curling wide. But it's Kerry that have the loose ball again. At this moment in time, with over 19 minutes gone, you have to say that Cork don't look dangerous at all in the attack. They seem to have lost their way, as Kerry dominated midfield and in the half back line. Well won by Brian O'Regan. Dermot Duggan fouled, free quickly taken. Graham Canty pumps it into the space. Donegal O'Connor did well to keep it in. Tom O'Sullivan chips it back as Tomás O'Shea. Played now at this moment in time at a very slow pace. And the marking looks like more of a challenge game standards than it is of a Munster football final. Kerry given way too much space by their challengers. Aidan O'Mahony, Dermot Duggan playing in front of Kieran Donaghy. Alan O'Connor backfires Duggan once more. Shawnee O'Brien giving a little bit of space here. Acres of Páirc in front of him. Slipping one through as Donegal O'Connor. On inside is Kieran O'Connor, unmarked at the moment. Not anymore. Far as John Hayes turns. This one goes to the right and wide. That should have been a point.
Yeah, that's 3 attacks they've had in the last 5 or 6 minutes. They've had 3 wides. But again, your point actually is very well made about the pace and tempo of the game. It has slowed completely to the pace that Kerry want to play it at. Cork are not in their faces enough. They're not getting in tackles, particularly around the middle area of the field. And the fact that they're pulling so many men back in front of Big Donaghy is actually causing them a problem further up.
You'd wonder about the psychological state of the Cork football mind at the moment. They just seem to have been beaten so badly in last year's All-Ireland final. It would appear the scars are still there. Graham Canty. He's one man who won't be taken here rather easily. A proud West Cork man from Bantry. Nicholas Murphy seemed to push Killian Young. Referee says play on. Advantage as such to the Kerry men. Seamus Scanlon overturns Páirc Reedy. Goal scorer Donegal Walsh. Brosnan given away. There's Nemo Rangers man Brian O'Regan. Donegal O'Connor going through the middle of Pierce O'Neill. O'Connor. No reinforcements available immediately. Throws it himself and sends it over the bar. There is one thing that we said earlier about Donegal O'Connor. He is the main scoring threat up front, and he could well expose Tom O'Sullivan. But Tom O'Sullivan, despite that ball going over the bar, has been playing very well at fullback.
No, Tom O'Sullivan has started very well. That time, okay, he was left in a one-to-one. Now, Brosnan maybe didn't get in the challenge that maybe he should have gotten O'Connor. And again, I must say O'Connor showed a lot of confidence on his left foot. He showed a very good score that Cork badly needed.
Ball straight down the middle. Brian O'Regan. Going down on it and gathering it for Shawnee O'Brien. By the way, that's Cork's first score in 16 minutes. It's a long time. Daniel Goulding trying a point from there. That won't work. I think Paul Simon is singing Hindi Marquee tonight. He might get that particular ball.
I hope he's not thinking of slip-sliding away, because at times you think that the game is slip-sliding from Cork. Again, they're so obsessed by the threat, the far side of the field by Donaghy and Cooper, that they have in effect kind of put all their kind of players back in there to negate that threat.
And there's a little bit of a schmozzle going on between Dara O'Shea and Pierce O'Neill, who's been moved out to market. Alan O'Connor goes up and gathers, lays it up. Where's Kieran O'Connor? Cork going through their period of dominance. Ger Spillane tried the old-fashioned up and under in distance. Works out fine for Shawnee O'Brien. Little push in the back by Aidan O'Mahony. Spotted by Derek Fahey. It's going to be a free for Cork, just inside the Kerry 45. Here's the little push. There you go.
Good call again. I don't know if it's fair to say, but Kerry become a little bit complacent in the last while. They're just ambling through the game at the moment. They're not injecting any real pace or trying to really push home their lead, and it's given Cork an opportunity to come back into the game.
Kieran Murphy on the goal line. Donegal O'Connor driving the ball wide. He slipped, to be fair to him, as he was kicking it. These are the conditions that you have to play this particular Munster final, and you have to try and work it through.
Very much so, and again, viewers mightn't realise it, but there's been torrential rain in Cork for an hour up to, within an hour of the throw-in today. And again, I'm sure even though it looks quite nice at the moment, the pitch will be absolutely saturated.
We had the Munster Junior football final on as well, of course, which saw Tipperary and Kerry draw, which made conditions equally as difficult, considering the rain that we've had. There's that O'Shea. Seamus Scanlon. Coming through from right half back is Tomas O'Shea. Referee says play on, but he did spot the infringement. Dropping this one in. Again, he's aimed at Donaghy. Alan Quirk. Happy to fist it clear. Good decision by the Cork goalkeeper. Kieran O'Connor thought about giving it back, whereas Derek Kavanagh uses Dermot Duggan instead. Oh, there's a hefty challenge there. Ball is loose. They're lying on the ground. A little bit of silliness. Aidan O'Mahony, to his credit, walks away.
Yeah, again, very good pressure from Aidan O'Mahony. I think the Gooch as well on the Cork defender at that time. And again, brought about the turnover, and again, it affords the Gooch an opportunity to put over a point. And again, I like the refereeing this time. Again, there was an incident on the far side of the field where I think it was Nicholas Murphy late tackled I think it was Seamus Scanlon. Now he's had a chat with him.
Actually, the word is with Alan O'Connor, Martin, the big number 8, and the referee's just given him a little warning with the black book as we watch Colin Cooper. Looking good. Done with no great pressure, I must say. And you just sense that the Kerry men are well within themselves here.
Well, I think the one thing before the game that Cork would have been really, really keen to avoid was the concession of a goal. And the fact that Kerry got a goal after, I think it was 13 minutes rather, has given them that cushion. And just at the moment they're really, really on top. And again, unless Cork can get a major and get converted 3 opportunities that they have missed in the last while, I don't know, it's not going to work for them.
That was Kerry's first score in 10 minutes, by the way. Gives you an idea of the type of game we're having. It was wonderful, actually, well, enjoyable, I'd say, for the first 10 minutes. But then it started to deteriorate. Perhaps another Cork score might make a game out of it. Daniel Goulding, effort blocked superbly. Mark O'Shea, Footballer of the Year. Gives you an idea why he got that accolade. He's available again behind the player with possession, which was Brian Sheehan. Here's Owen Brosnan. Gooch wanted far side. Scanlon makes a bit of a dash, not a good ball to Aidan O'Mahony. Wrong option. Foul. And Seamus Scanlon acknowledges that he did make the wrong choice here. And this is going to be a free for Cork.
Yeah, well, he did it there for a few moments. He didn't know whether to kick it long or to give it short, and eventually he made the wrong call and to give O'Mahony an impossible ball, give away the free, and probably gets the first yellow card of the game.
Seamus Scanlon getting a yellow card. Cork tried to open up this Kerry defence. Not easy. Nicholas Murphy. Moss O'Shea with him. Bad enough to try and get past one Kerry defender, but then there's another one waiting here. Testing ball. Ball comes loose. Nobody from Cork there. Plenty of Kerry lads. Seamus Scanlon. Aidan O'Mahony. No pressure on the centre half back to come sauntering forward. Fires midfield. There's confirmation that Seamus Scanlon got that yellow card a few minutes ago. Ball goes in through the centre to Sean O'Sullivan. Here comes Owen Brosnan. Flicking it, fires Kieran Donaghy. Backfires Owen Brosnan. Sean O'Sullivan knocked away by Kieran O'Connor. Graham Canty lays it off. Fires Alan O'Connor from the St. Columns club. Keel. Nuclear Bantry. Great stronghold of Cork football, of course, out in West Cork. Down around Castlehaven and Skibbereen. Ball kicked off the ground. Free to Kerry.
Yeah, sure. Will you just see it again? I don't think he got his foot under it. Okay, he put the foot there all right, but again, it was just a token gesture. He definitely did lift it off the ground.
Dermot Duggan from Illan Rovers, a place called Kilcoo. It's a lovely little spot between Skibbereen and Ballydehob. In his very first championship, it's his second start, and I have to say that Dermot Duggan is one of the few Cork players that has been most impressive in this opening half of the Munster football final. He's not alone defending well, but he's attacking the ball as much as possible and going into Kerry territory.
Yeah, he's shown great enthusiasm and industry so far. Again, others could learn from him, the Cork team.
Flicked away. Sean O'Sullivan gives it back for Moss O'Shea. There's a Kerry man on the deck as Kerry begin the build-up again. Páirc Reedy made his debut against Waterford a few seasons ago. Lays it off, and Dada O'Shea provides the finish. It's easy. It's very easy for Kerry. If you're going to beat the All-Ireland champions, you've got to put pressure. Páirc Greedy sauntered up from left corner back, gave the ball to Darragh O'Shea. Look at this for terrible marking by Cork. You're not going to beat the All-Ireland champions playing that quality football.
No, but the Kerry players have the ability to think on their feet. They're able to adjust their game as appropriate to a situation. Rather than now kind of aimlessly kicking it at Donny, which wasn't working, they're carrying it into the Cork defence, and no pressure is coming on them, and they're winning points from long distance.
Dermot Duggan. Anthony Lynch. Gets by Kieran Donaghy. Get to shoulder afterwards from Aidan O'Mahony. Colliding in with Ger Spillane. Linesman was waving his flag. Derek Fahey spotted it as well. It certainly would look that this is going to be a yellow card for the centre half back from Rathmore.
Yeah, it was a late tackle. I know a couple of moments ago Aidan O'Mahony got quite a nasty knock on the far side of the field. Maybe there's a little bit of retribution in that, but definitely the tackle on Ger Spillane was late.
The ball was gone. Sean O'Sullivan bumps it into the middle to Seamus Scanlon. Back to O'Mahony. To Scanlon. Páirc Greedy as Cork players get behind the ball. There are now at the moment 2 defenders, 2 attackers and a goalkeeper in the Kerry half of the field. Everybody else down here. Here's a chance perhaps for Kerry. Dermot Duggan is in there. So too is Brian O'Regan. Comes far as Alan O'Connor. Graham Canty. Brian Sheehan is down injured at the other end of the field as we follow on with the Cork movement up front. And well won back indeed by Kerry. Seamus Scanlon. Got a knock on the head there. And that's going to be a free for the Kingdom.
Yeah, that was a bad enough tackle actually. Seamus Scanlon took it quite a belt that time. I think this time it was from Nicholas Murphy. And again, it might earn Nicholas Murphy a booking.
Well, the referee is having a word with him at the moment, and there is a yellow card for Nicholas Murphy.
But it must be said overall, the half has been very disappointing after a risk enough opening. It's been so easy for Kerry. The fact is, that they've been able to get a goal early on, build a fairly good lead. They have that cushion, and Cork are not pushing enough players up front, basically to threaten the Kerry defence.
This is an incident that happened earlier. As Donagh O'Connor was pulling back his marker. The result, Derek Fahey, to his credit, allowed play go on, and then went back and booked Donagh O'Connor. And of course, many people down in Limerick will be watching this Munster final and saying, well, we should have been there. They conceded 2 late goals. It should have been, they feel, a Limerick-Kerry final, but maybe there's a lesson to be learned there for Limerick, because Limerick have a good football team at the moment. Easy ball for Colm Cooper. Cork players again back behind the ball. Darragh O'Shea to the Gooch. He's aiming at Kieran Donaghy. Gets there ahead of Derek Campbell. Aidan O'Mahony's outside him. Still the start. Back by Sean O'Sullivan. That's good football. And Kieran Donaghy had the composure and the mental strength to retain possession until he saw a man available. He arrived. There's the white flag and the point.
Yeah, they're patient, they're composed when it's needed, and again a lovely piece of work that time by Donaghy. Again, that body strength we talked about early on was manifest. Lovely bit of support play coming at the right angle from Sean O'Sullivan, a very well taken point.
1-8 to 3 points. But another way, it's 11 points to 3. And Kerry well worthy of having that substantial lead. Cork will have to change the game plan. They'll have to rethink, because then this is not going to work. And the All-Ireland champions are under no pressure. There's the back pass, and no Cork player immediately around. They're concentrating on getting behind the ball, allowing the Kerry player to get possession, and they're just pumping it in high. In towards the star, breaking ball, picked up this time by Anthony Lynch, who did well. Dermot Duggan to Graham Canty. after the half-time break. And I think, to be honest with you, Cork footballers will be glad to get in there and have a chat, because game plan number one not working. They'll have to look at an alternative strategy. A goal after 13 minutes by Donncha Walsh, which was created by Kieran Donaghy when he got inside the Cork cover. Donncha Walsh got the touch, and Kerry in total control. At half-time, it's Kerry very much the dominant force. They don't look like they're going to lose the Munster title, to be honest with you. It's Kerry 1-8, Cork 3 points.
Thanks, Marty. And
Oh, I don't know. I think, maybe they should take it easy and wait for the qualifiers at this stage. I don't know what Conor Coonan would say, because they've set themselves up with a defensive screen with Graham Canty in front. But, what we talked about before the game, they haven't told the Cork forwards that they're going to have to mark Tomás O'Shea and Killian Young. And I'd say Seamus Scanlon has handled more ball in that half than he ever did for Kerry before. And Donncha Walsh, fellas like that, they're just cutting ribbons through. It's a joke of a game.
If this keeps going the way it is, Joe, this will be one of the easiest Munster championships that Kerry have ever won.
I mean, like scoring 1-7 against the sweeper system in the first half, 1-8 in bad weather. I mean, first of all, the sweeper doesn't know where to be. Graham Canty doesn't know where to be. He's in the wrong place all the time. And just as we discussed Down's attempts to use a sweeper last week, unless you've been working on this over a season, and worked out the knock-on effects and what's the forwards job. I mean, for example, they're playing 3 full forwards. Nobody's picking up Tomás O'Shea. Mark Little for Fermanagh plays in the full back line. But Fermanagh play two men inside, and one corner forward goes out and patrols along the half-back line. I mean, these things have got to be planned for. As it is, Cork haven't thrown themselves into it, but, I mean, it's a totally uneven battle, even though Kerry are just playing very nonchalantly. Kerry are lovely footballers, and if you stand back and admire them, they're going to fill it to you, which is exactly what's happening.
Okay, well, we'll think about it some more here in the studio. We have a short break here in the programme right now. More from Joe and Colin right after that.
On strike in the winter time there, a lot of people supported them, and when the hurlers went on strike before, they came out and they showed they meant business by going on to win the All-Ireland. The footballers have come out and they're a damn squib. So if they rear their head again in similar circumstances, people will just totally ignore them. So what they have to show is that there's a bit of bottle in Cork, and there's a bit of pride in everybody, and it comes from each individual. There's no point in Conor Coonan being in there shouting, "Run, go out and do it." Unless you have pride in your own individual performance, nothing can happen.
Well, it's very hard, this elusive thing about fire and the bellies and all of that, unless you've got a game plan that works. I mean, their game plan is so incompetent. It's very difficult for the players to know what they're doing. I mean, they just look confused, and I mean, that confusion has become panic as the game has worn on. And, they've sacrificed a forward now to no avail. It's not making any difference to the game. It'd be better now to go back to a conventional format and just have a rattle at it. But I suspect they're really not in the frame of mind to do that. I mean, their performance has been entirely abysmal. In Gaelic football in this day and age, to play like that, it's really inexplicable.
Yeah, and Kerry seems to be
on the Cork team there, lads. You can see Michael Cusson has been brought into the game again for O'Connor, as I understand it.
That's something. I mean, Michael will hardly score freely, but at least that's something that'll give them a pivot. It's very difficult in those conditions to keep running the ball forward. It's very slippy underfoot, so they're better just to hammer it into him and mooch off him. As it is, the full forward line's made absolutely no headway, so it can't get any worse.
Okay, all ready to go for the second half. Derek Fahey just waiting for a football there, as you can see down the front of the screen. There's the ball, lads. We actually need one for this, tactics or no tactics. It's back to the commentary box then to rejoin Marty Morrissey and Martin Carney.
Thanks a million, Michael. 22,784 is the official attendance, so that was more or less what was anticipated. And certainly here at halftime we had a ferocious shower, one of the worst I've seen this particular July, more associated with January. Well, plan A did not work for Cork, that's clear. Can they move on to plan B? Part of that strategy might well be the placing of Michael Cusson, 6'7", at the edge of the square. That's where he is. He's on instead of Alan O'Connor. So it's all to play for Cork. Their pride very much at stake in this second half. And if you hop the ball in Páirc at the moment, well then I think you're a bit of a fool, because I'm sure it's going to stick or skid. It will not be advisable. You'll see a lot of running or kicking directly. Exactly what Graham Canty wanted to do to try and sort out Michael Cusson. Here's Daniel Goulding getting inside. Jersey pulled by Mark O'Shea. Free in for Cork, dead straight in front of the post. about Cusson, although he's not in your picture at the moment, is that he normally plays well against Kerry. He did well below in Killarney last year. I think, Martin, you were with him. So they'll try and feed him as much as possible.
Very much so. We'll go back to some kind of an orthodox situation.
There's about a fisticuffs out in the middle of the field involving Dad O'Shea and Graham Canty. And of course, Dad O'Shea being told to stay out of it. And it's continuing on the handbag stuff between himself and his opponent, Pierce O'Neill. And Derek Fahey's notice has now, the attention has now been brought to this, and I think Pierce O'Neill is expressing his annoyance at getting a clipper across the ear.
Yeah, but in all fairness, I think they ganged up on Darragh O'Shea at that time. I think what they're trying to do is set a different template for the second half, a much more aggressive one than they had in the first half. Maybe that's the beginning of it.
Well, Pierce O'Neill really should shake hands here with Darragh O'Shea. They both acknowledge it. Looks like a yellow card for both. Don't know how that started at first, but I think probably a yellow card for both is the correct decision. Now, meanwhile, down at the Blackrock end, Daniel Goulding will probably take this free, or he may well leave it to Donegal Cup. Donegal. First point of the second half goes to the Leeds Lions. 7 points between the teams now. And just about 33 minutes for Cork to restore a bit of pride. I wonder what he did say at half time. But at least to the Cork management credit, it looks like they're going to change the plan. But they really have to mark very tight, and they have to be aggressive going forward. Donegal Walsh going to be spoken to by the referee for that challenge on Jerry Spillane. There was the jersey pull.
Well, the body language is anything to go by. Cork are coming out in a much more aggressive way and playing with much more fire in their belly. That time it's Jerry Spillane driving forward again. Correct, and fouled by Donegal Walsh.
Going for the high ball again up towards Cushion. Who had Corey Greedy. Leaving a spray of water behind him. Seamus Scanlon. Aidan O'Mahony. Flicks it back by Scanlon once more. Nicholas Murphy going to be spoken to here, and he's already on a yellow card, remember. Here's the challenge there. There was a high challenge on Seamus Scanlon. Got a yellow card in the first half. It's a second yellow. Cork are reduced to 14 players.
Yeah, that's the danger in all of this. Again, they came out much more aggressive in the second half, clearly intent on roughing up Kerry a little bit. And when a guy's on a yellow card and commits a foul like that, then he's asking for major trouble.
And really had little or no chance in winning possession there. The challenge was clumsy and awkward. Yellow card, worthy of it, despite Nicholas's protestations. He'll be heartbroken and disappointed, because it was bad enough playing poorly in the first half as a team, but now, despite the change in strategy, they are reduced to 14 players. Not the thing to do when you're playing the All-Ireland champions. But you know, I've seen it in the past, so many times. Club or county, 14 players sometimes do better than the full 15 because they play with passion. Here's Michael Cusson, going dominant, picks it up, turns. Hey, that's not bad. Good score and a good response to the sending off of Nicholas Murphy.
Yeah, good defending that time actually by the Kerry defence, but again, Cusson held his nerve and shot a very good point from a difficult angle.
Scored 2 points in Killarney last year in the Munster final when he was new to the scene. He always seems to do well against Kerry.
Yeah, he was very fired up in that game again. Started very promisingly today, and again, maybe now they'll have to play the direct ball in, which will suit them, I think, much more.
Straight down the middle. Gathered by Jim Duggan. Jerry Spillane. No time for fancy football on a day like today. Send it in long. Cusson is there again. Gathered. Coming through the centre, Pierce O'Neill takes the challenge from Páirc. Brought to ground, it's another free for Cork, and O'Neill has his gander up. There's a bit of passion in this Cork side at last.
Well, very much so, and again, an awful lot of the spark is coming from Cusson, and again, the different way that Cork are playing in this half. They're playing it much more directly, and it's much more to their benefit.
Jerry Fahey wants to have a word. There's a black book there for Dara O'Shea. Remember, he's already on a yellow card. You just sense, maybe it's a bit premature, but you sense that this second half could be full of controversial incidents or talking points at least. Well, particularly if Cork make a game of it.
They're certainly making a game of it at the moment, and again, possibility now of a third point.
Daniel Goulding picks this over the bar for his third point. Now what will be most interesting is when Kerry have the ball in the half-back line, whether or not Cork will really defend. That the half-forward line and full-forward line will put the pressure on, because in the first half they all piled back. They took the bus, the 46A, back into the half-back line and waited for Kerry to get to there. They've got to put pressure on Kerry in their own defence.
And that's what's happening at the moment, actually. They're much more orthodox setup than they were in the first half.
Now Brian Sheehan gets the free. There's Killian Young. Seamus Scanlon to Tomas O'Shea. That's a great kick. That is a superb point. Now that is class. When you need leadership, look at the man on your television screen. It's Tomas O'Shea.
Well, that ball nearly ended up in his mother's house. Then Ventry, it was so well hit. That's a superb score. And again, I think he now is the extra man on the Kerry team. And they'll alternate it out, imagine, between himself and Killian Young, but he was loose that time.
Looks like Darren O'Sullivan is on for Donica Walsh, who was the very much the main man in the first half with a goal and a point. Fine catch by Pierce O'Neill. Free to the Leesiders. Graham Canty, here it goes again, dropping it down towards Michael Cusson, knocking it far as Donica O'Connor. Here's a chance for John Hayes. Oh, this is much better out of Cork. Much improved, more direct, and certainly far more passionate.
Oh yeah, the directness is everything, and again, Cousins is causing a huge amount of trouble in there for Thomas Sullivan. He's about a 6 or 7 inch advantage on him. Cork are realising that. They're being forced actually to pump the ball in long at the moment because of the absence of an extra man outfield, and it's working for them.
Kick out by Dermot Murphy. Dara O'Shea battling with Pierce O'Neill. Cork defender is inside in the stand, but from Dara O'Shea's point of view, it's the Kerry man that has the ball. Here's that. Fairly hefty challenge on Pierce O'Neill. Referee says play on. Here's Tomas O'Shea. Free to Kerry. Black book being shown to John Hayes. Conor Coonahan is arguing with the linesman for this challenge and saying, why didn't you notify the referee? Kieran Donaghy fouled by Derek Kavanagh. That's going to be a free for Kerry.
Yeah, and this is Brian Sheehan territory. Again, he's marvellous from these difficult angles and long distances.
Looks like Derek Kavanagh is going to be shown a yellow card perhaps here. Last year's Cork captain joins the yellow card list. That's 4 yellow cards at the moment now for Cork. Make that 5 actually, as this free has been taken by Brian Sheehan. Ah, that is a brilliant kick. Take into consideration the ground conditions here in Páirc the torrential rain we had at half-time, making it very difficult. But look at this, he just curled it beautifully.
That's exquisite. That's as good a place kick as you see anywhere in any code. That's a wonderfully struck ball.
Yeah,
think that's what the yellow card was for. Maybe it was just a little bit of afters there. But again, I think maybe he was a little bit unlucky to have incurred it.
Pushing on the back. Pierce O'Neill is arguing with the referee that the push was done by his Kerry opponent, that O'Shea. And of course, Kerry playing with a numerical advantage at the moment. Seamus Scanlon seemed to touch the ball on the ground. Graham Canty's knee seems to be in trouble here. This is going to be a free for Cork. This is the instant as Scanlon touched the ball on the ground.
Yeah, he dived on it actually that time. Again, I think Graham Canty that time just again. That's
gosh.
a bad injury actually.
That is a bad injury, yes.
And again, he's come back from very bad knee surgery in the past, but that looked dreadful.
He's a wonderful footballer, Graham Canty, but very much injury prone as well. Cruciate knee ligament problem in the past, and we all know the headlines over the last week was, would he play or not, because of a shoulder injury he picked up in training. That camera angle gave you an idea how serious that injury looked.
Yeah, and it must be said there was no malice in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, it surprised me greatly if he goes on after that. If that knee injury of that kind of looked as bad as it did.
It's okay, apparently. Free for Donegal O'Connor. Scored twice against Limerick, both of them frees. Scored twice here, and this is going over the bar. And for Cork to have any chance at all against this great Kerry side, going for their third All-Ireland in a row, they need to take every single opportunity that comes their way. 5 points between the teams. Canty is the one that's down injured, and his departure would mean a serious blow to Cork. And Dr. Con Murphy is there beside him, but it looks like the knee is banjaxed, I'm afraid. And there is a substitute coming on. That's Fintan Gould is on. Fintan from Macroom, nephew of former Cork football supremo, Coleman Corrigan. He's on, and Graham Canty, it's not the shoulder, I'm afraid, it's the knee is the problem.
Well, that's tragic for Graham Canty. And again, a huge psychological blow now for Cork, again, because he is their leader out there, and that's an awful blow to them.
Down to 14 men. Reduced to play without their inspirational leader, Graham Canty. Knocked away by John Hayes. Sideline ball, Kerry. Sean O'Sullivan looking at options. Páirc Reedy is the nearest to him, and indeed Jerry Cahy did the same thing to Cork in the first half when Anthony Lynch got a free quickly taken, and the distance was the problem. And the free going to be taken outside the Kerry 65. And lobbing it in high, but it's dropping short. Cushion comes out to Gather, and Gather superbly lays it off. Chance here for Fintan Gould, and that is left and wide. Plan B, you have to admit, is working better than Plan A.
Yeah, working much better indeed. And again, Kerry have gone out of it around the middle of the field in the last while. Cork are adopting a much more aggressive approach. I must say Pierce O'Neill is annoying Darragh O'Shea since the beginning of the half, and don't be surprised if that results in one or other of them being sent off.
Michael Cutson is doing very well since introduced. Cork winning in terms of possession, and they have it again. Fintan Gould laying it back. Good ball. Cutson gets a touch! Cork are back in the Munster final. You talk about the rebels. You talk about pride. It was absent. Nowhere to be seen in the first half. Question, did he get the touch? Ball floated in. Cutson got the slightest of touches. Kerry were left stranded, and the Leesiders are back in the game.
Yeah, definitely got a touch there, a very clear touch on it actually, managed to direct the pass near by Buffett, but that reflects the dominance they've enjoyed in the second half so far.
No Graham Canty. Cork reduced to 14 players. I remember a day back in 1983 when Tadhg Murphy got a late winner. It poured out of the heavens. We have a similar day in Páirc. Kerry led by 8 points at half-time. They're still in front, but their greatest rivals are putting it up to them. And for all of us here and watching on the TV on the Sunday Game Live, may I add, thankfully, at least we have a football game now. That O'Shea. Over towards Darren O'Sullivan. Tomas O'Shea has gone forward, takes too much out of it. Still manages to get it away immediately from Cork, winning possession. Ryan O'Regan to Anthony Lynch. Jim McDougall. Down the middle, take your choice. 3 Kerry footballers. Here comes Mark O'Shea. Shawnee O'Brien. And the referee is in. Mark O'Shea is claiming that it was an elbow, or a shoulder I should say. But certainly the balls and the angle around here, well, you can feel it, I'm sure, going through your television screens, because the Cork sideline seems to be quite animated. The referee, Derek Fahey, is having a word with Mark O'Shea. Now look at it here. Here comes the incident. Seems to be a high challenge on Shawnee O'Brien, but he was trying to play the shoulder. Referee shows a straight red card. 14 against 14.
14 against 14 again. I think what Mark O'Shea was trying to do at that time, he was trying to shield the ball from Shawnee O'Brien. I don't think there was anything malicious whatsoever in what he did. Someone unlucky to get sent off. Look at, he's there in front of him, tries to shield the ball. Shawnee O'Brien keeps coming through, definitely catches him, but again, that's a big blow to Kerry.
And Mark O'Shea is by no means a dirty footballer. One of the best, but on this particular incident, I'm sure it will be debated about for a while. Heartbreak for Mark, and Shawnee O'Brien is back on the field of play. It's more controversy for Kerry as they bid for that 3 in a row. Here comes a chance. Oh, that is fantastic score. Daniel Goulding, 4 points for him. And 1 point between the teams. And you can see in Mark O'Shea's face, he's really devastated. He was trying to protect the ball away from Shawnee O'Brien, and I've never seen him pull a dirty punch or anything like that.
No, I don't think
this is going to be debated about for some time.
Yeah, again, it's very noticeable too. They've taken off Shawnee O'Brien now. They've brought on James Masters, and Masters, such a good score getter. That's a big boost to Cork.
Did you think he should be sent off, Brian Kearney?
Well, the incident was bad, but I didn't think he deserved to be sent off. I thought myself he went to shield the ball. There was no malice whatsoever in what he did. He caught him badly, all right. But again, his sending off was, I thought, a little bit harsh.
1 point between the teams. It's 14 men against 14. Looks like a different game in comparison to what we saw in the first half. Anthony Lynch scrambles it free. Fires Daniel Goulding. Was watching something off camera here, but nothing to it, as Ger Spillane was thinking about taking the free. Gives it back, and Anthony Lynch going to take it.
Yeah, well, we have a right good contest at the moment now, and again it's been sparked by the arrival of Michael Cusson, and again the change in tactics by Cork.
And it's Cusson that has the ball. 3 in to the challengers. He's winning every ball either high or low. Doesn't matter which way it's being delivered.
That's right, and again, Kerry have become very ragged in the last while. Kieran Donaghy is now around the middle of the field. They've brought in Walsh into the full forward line, actually. So Donaghy going out spells trouble for Kerry.
Daniel Goulding hits it. The umpires have a little look at each other. It's over the bar. 8 points down at half-time. They are level in Páirc for the 3rd time in the match.
The point I was making there, Darren O'Sullivan is actually got into the full forward line, and whenever Kerry are in trouble, Donaghy normally comes out in the middle of the park, and there's where he is now.
Pierce O'Neill playing well, and he's holding onto that ball for dear life. Fintan Gould sends it into Cusson again. Chasing after it is Daniel Goulding. Support provided by Donnacha O'Connor. It's over the bar. 22,000 people are beginning to respond. They're not all from Cork, but those that are from Cork are beginning to see a display that they will be quite proud of, because Cork are in front, thanks to Donegal O'Connor.
Yeah, and the indifference through the first has been replaced by passion, and again around the middle of the field, Kerry are not getting a grip at all at the moment. They need their leaders to come to the fore.
Kick out by Dermot Murphy, who had the last touch. Linesman says Kerry ball. Kerry at this moment having scored in almost 11 minutes. What a great point it was by Tomas O'Shea. As Cork now are doing a man-to-man marking job much better. Scanlon to Brian Sheehan. Darren O'Sullivan. Ball of energy out in the far wing. Brian O'Regan in hot pursuit. Still O'Sullivan. Lays it back. Chance here, which is gone over the bar. Sean O'Sullivan getting his second point of this Munster final.
Yeah, that was a fabulous bit of work that time actually by Darren O'Sullivan. Again, sucked in the defenders, laid it back, and a great score by Sean O'Sullivan.
Great buzz now around Páirc Field. Added to it. Well gathered by Tomas O'Shea. Seamus Scanlon. Brian Sheehan. The supporting player. Dermot Duggan with him. Still Brian Sheehan. Owen Brosnan wanted it a little bit quicker. Efforts to keep a point, easily stopped. Brian O'Regan. Over towards Anthony Lynch. Available, Derek Kavanagh. Kieran O'Connor comes from left corner back. Gooch Cooper, Starr Donaghy, not seen so far in this second half. Donegal O'Connor sending it into Cusson. Breaking ball. Cummins knocks it back. Tom O'Sullivan. Corey Greedy it was. Pushed off it. James Masters to stamp his authority in the game. It's dropping over the bar. The Cork boys are beginning to prove a point. They're back in front. Well worked. Back to the Nemo star, who's recovering from injury. That's a great point.
That's a wonderful score from James Masters. And it must be said, Masters and Cousins have made a massive difference. Surprised me early on why they weren't picked in the first place, but they have showed now by coming on, they have really given an awful lot of energy to Cork.
Tommy Griffin is on for Kerry number 17 and gone off his own Brosnan. So a change in the Kerry half-forward line. Derek Fahey, the referee, is calling for the ball. It's going to be a throw ball. I think Pierce O'Neill is asking for a moment to gather his breath. Just confirmation of substitution that has just taken place. That O'Shea. Derek Kavanagh stood his ground, lays it off to Tommy Griffin. Referee gives the free to Kerry, and correctly so. Brian Sheehan coming across to take this. He scored 3 times in this Munster final. And Pat O'Shea quite animated up and down the sideline, encouraging his team towards that final whistle. Anthony Lynch on the field doing the very same thing. Brian Sheehan is just inside the Cork 45. Slipped again on the surface. Cork defenders are there. Anthony Lynch. Pulled to the ground. Free out for the blood and bandages of Cork. Is there a affectionately called down here? And he wasn't giving that ball away.
You know, where success very often comes with simplicity. And again, the fact that Cork have simplified everything in the second half have stood to them. There's no complication or whatsoever out there. Direct ball into Cousins, working a dream.
Kick out by Alan Quirk. Donegal O'Connor. Here comes the high ball again, I'm sure. This one seems to screw up his boots. Not a great ball for James Masters. It was intended for Michael Cousins. Sideline ball to Cork. Leaving it for Daniel Goulding. Here old man from Ovens. And Dangan man Dermot Murphy between the posts. Floating in high towards Michael Cussin. Can't get a touch. Kick out for the Kerry goalkeeper.
Yeah, one little issue we haven't spoken about actually is the wind. It has picked up considerably since that downpour at half-time, and it is favouring Cork in the second half.
Nicely picked up. Clinton Gould onto his right boot. He can do it at under 21 level. He can do it at senior level. Former underage star arrives on the scene and puts his county 2 points in front. Well taken score.
Well taken score, and again they're running at the Kerry defence at the moment, causing huge trouble, and again winning every baker on the middle of the field at the moment.
Michael Cussin was too near there. I think Cussin was more surprised to get it as much as anybody else, and the referee was just telling Dermot Murphy an extra 13 metres to take the free. Over for Seamus Scanlon. Free to the Kerry man. Boyd Reedy, Aaron O'Sullivan. Aidan O'Mahony goes for distance. 2 Cork players come out together. Anthony Lynch available. Donegal O'Connor has moved out to the half-forward line. Has to go the scenic route to try and hit the ball over towards his colleague on the full-forward line, John Hayes. Flicks it back. There's Ger Spallar, Donegal O'Connor. James Masters makes a run. Free in. Aidan O'Mahony fouling the Cork corner forward. There's a black book for Aidan O'Mahony. That sliding tackle.
Yeah, there's a way more conviction about Cork at the moment, a way more poise in everything that they're doing, a way more control also. And again, Kerry have got to get a grip around the middle of the field. It has vanished from them.
Michael Cussin hovering around the edge of the square with a small rectangle. As Donegal O'Connor takes this outside the Kerry 45. Dropping in. Punched away. Comes out as Daniel Goulding, and that is over the bar. 6 points for the corner forward. Posing problems this time for Killian Young. Did the intelligent thing, not try and kick the ball, but fisted over. Kerry make another change. Tommy Walsh is on for Sean O'Sullivan. And already you have to say, Martin Carney, that you feel the loss of Declan O'Sullivan and Paul Galvin.
Oh yeah, the ugly ball isn't be won and run the middle of the field at all in the second half.
Tomas O'Shea. In tries down O'Sullivan. He's brought to ground, and that's another free for Kerry.
Yeah, but such a turnaround in the second half. 111 to 3 points for Cork in the second half. Who would have guessed it?
The game plan was all rondo for Cork in the first half.
Oh, very much so. And again, it's amazing, like the best player in the field, like we said beforehand, probably Colin Cooper, hasn't got a touch of the ball in the second half. Supply is completely run out.
A little bit the handbag stuff again. His tempers become framed. Derek Fahey is going to have a word with his umpires. Eamon Riley and Johnny Marlowe are his team down there. And it looks like Kieran O'Connor and Tommy Walsh going to be spoken to. I'm pretty sure 2 more yellow cards are going to be shown. Tommy Walsh, of course, son of former Kerry footballer Sean Walsh. Tommy has a younger brother Barry John as well, who's a great footballer, coming up through the minor ranks. So yellow card for the 2 lads. Colin Cooper going to take this by his own very high standards. A quiet second half, primarily because the ball wasn't going up to the Kerry forward line. This ball is curling right and wide. Kerry so dominant in the opening half. So much in control. But in the second, well, it's the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, I don't know if they were lulled into a false sense of security or what, but they haven't had any possession around the middle of the field in the second half. They've been out-fought and out-taught, and the changing tactics and the substitutions have worked a dream for Cork.
Breaking ball. Seamus Scanlon. 3 points between the teams. Darren O'Sullivan taking on Brian O'Regan. Kicking it into the space. And that is indeed, it could well turn out to be a psychological moment because Darren O'Sullivan miscued it completely. And you could hear the Cork cheer all the way down to Ballycotton and Bantry, I think. Cork people beginning to feel, well, we've 3 minutes to go here and we could well win this.
Yeah, and they're looking good, it must be said. And again, you know, we were looking for maybe variation from Cork. It's not variation at all in the second half. It's just a simple route one has worked for them. And again, Cusson coming in at halftime has made a world of difference for them.
We'll talk about the sending offs of Mark O'Shea being vital, so too Nicholas Murphy, but I think you're right, Martin. The most important thing was a change of strategy of Cork for the second half and the substitution of Michael Cusson, or bring it the introduction of Michael Cusson. There is another warning here for Dara O'Shea. It's a yellow card and Kerry are reduced down to 13 players.
No, I don't know what that was for, a simple push in the back. I think that again is very harsh, and I'm not a kind of an apologist for the O'Shea brothers or anything, but I thought that was very harsh. Unless he said something to the referee or not, I don't know.
But to be fair, Martin, you did say that battle going on between Pierce O'Neill and Dara O'Shea, it was going on niggling despite the fact that they'd been warned, and it was anticipated that one of them would go for an early shot. Meanwhile, John Hayes hits it off Páirc Reedy's shins, sideline ball for Cork.
Well, again, this is Conor Coonahan's first big test as a Cork manager. And my God, whatever he said to them at halftime, it has worked a dream because they have played with great pride and great spirit throughout the second half.
This is James Masters from the sideline, right and wide. Well, I think everybody, including ourselves, were a little surprised because the one thing Conor Coonahan brings to the equation and to the table is pride of place and passion. He's an Ahada man, he's a Cork man, and he played it fair and square, but he played it hard.
He did, yeah, but I thought he overcooked the defensive system too much in the second half to the extent that it actually didn't suit Cork, but he's got it certainly perfect in the second half.
3 for Cork. A little bit of descent, an extra 13 metres. Kieran Donaghy could be in trouble as well because he's seemingly losing his cool, protesting why. And honest to God, once the referee makes a decision, that's it. They're not going to change.
You've got some money on half-time for Cork to go and win this game at all, but by 3 or 4 points, which it looks like, you've got a fortune on it.
Absolutely. Daniel Goulding hits it well. Páirc Cave is alive to the red and white flags and to the cheers of every Cork man, woman and child. 8 points down at the break. 4 points in front as we head towards the 70th minute.
Yeah, again, the meltdown, I think, also around the middle of the field for Kerry in the second half was a real turning point as well. Neither Dara O'Shea nor Seamus Scanlon managed to get primary ball, and the breaking ball was lost completely by the Kerry lads.
Paul Kerrigan is on for Daniel Goulding as Cork turned this game around in quite an amazing fashion. Tomas O'Shea here. 2 minutes of additional time. But it looks for the All-Ireland champions, at least, that the Munster crown is gone. 2 minutes of additional time being flashed on the screen, off camera. Tommy Griffin needs support. Referee Jerry Craig gives him the free. Knocked away by Anthony Lynch. Down towards Derek Kavanagh. Seems a lot happier around the middle of the field. Brian O'Regan. Cork dominant in that crucial area. Remember, Kerry playing with 13 players now in the last couple of minutes. Down towards Michael Cusson. Shouldered away by Thomas Sullivan. Corey Greedy. Seamus Scanlon. Tommy Griffin. Darren O'Sullivan. Easy ball for Derek Kavanagh. Donegal O'Connor. Ger Spillane. James Masters as Cork retain possession, knowing that the Munster football crowd is surely theirs. After an appalling first half from their perspective, down 8 points, they come back to win. Long ball. Hops inside. There's a chance here of another Cork goal. Twisting, turning, sending it over the bar. Paul Kerrigan. Following in the footsteps of his dad, Jimmy Kerrigan. Nemo Man, introduced just moments ago for Daniel Goulding. He did well here under pressure, took composure, flicked it over the bar. Kerry, the All-Ireland champions, have been beaten in Páirc in quite a sensational second half. The first half, in all honesty, was terrible. It was dominated by Kerry. They were totally in control. And when Donegal Ward scored a goal after 13 minutes and they led at the break by 1-8-3, you'd honestly feel that the game was over. And at the second half, wow, what a turnabout, Martin.
Well, definitely, and again, I keep going back to Michael Cousins. Every time he got the ball in the second half, he radiated menace. Again, Cork's mindset in the second half was the main difference between the first half and the second half. And again, they've answered the critics in the way they have played in the second half today. They have actually restored pride in the Cork jersey. And what they have done actually to Kerry, they've said an awful lot of questions about Kerry. Are they actually, capable of going and winning 3 in a row?
That's going to be a big ask for Kerry because this is a huge psychological victory. Cork footballers were under severe pressure. They took a stand in January. It was a big, big story in the GA world. But they changed their manager. In comes Conor Coonahan on a day when it looked like that the game plan was totally wrong in the first half. Second half, there was a rethink. And Michael Cutchin's goal after 50 minutes, and indeed his introduction, changed the game around. 3 times they were level, but at the end of 70 minutes, Cork were winners on this scoreline. Cork 116, All-Ireland champions Kerry 111. And for the first time in a long time, I think Cork football is back on the pedestal that Cork football people believe it should be. James Masters, lots of controversy that he didn't start. He is recovering from injury. What a substitute to have. But when you have won the under-21 All-Ireland like Cork did last year, you have a depth of talent. It was a question of unlocking the door, getting the right key, and putting the plan together. Coonahan did it.
Very much so, he did it, and again, he should be thankful, actually, again, as you said, the young lads, I thought, Goulding, Hayes, the substitute that came in, all contributed. The middle of the field in particular, I thought, in the second half, worked a dream. Pearson Neal going on Darragh O'Shea actually upset Darragh O'Shea. Niggled him, kind of put him off his game, resulted in Darragh O'Shea eventually getting sent off. But Kerry will just wonder how it all went so flat for them.
Lots of questions, lots of answers. Let's see if we get any answers as we go down to our sideline reporter, Ivani Quilla.
Hi, Smarty. Graham Canty joins me. Graham. Pride in the Cork jersey really was palpable there in the second half. Does that serve as retribution for last year's All-Ireland final?
I don't know, it's only the Munster final, we take one step at a time. Conor said just at half-time that, we didn't perform at all, we didn't take our chances, and he said just go in the second half, throw caution to the wind, and we try and take our chances and try and get close anyway to the Kerry team.
Well, the things he said in the dressing room at half-time paid off, and so too did the substitutions that he brought in.
Yeah, definitely. We have a very strong panel, we're always saying it. A lot of injuries coming into the game, but we have a lot of lads on the bench, and we're well aware of the strength of our panel that we have.
Now, Conor Coonahan has really put his stamp on this team since he took over. How far do you think has this Cork team come since last September?
I don't know. Do you know, last September we were good enough to get to an All-Ireland final, so you know, there's the bones of a good team there. You know, Conor's made a couple of slight changes, brought in a few more players, and you know, just brought on another small bit, I think.
Well, you're not going through the qualifiers now. You're going straight into a quarter-final. Just from your own point of view, how is the leg? What exactly is niggling at you?
I just hurt my knee, so we'll have a scan maybe in the next couple of days, and we'll see how it is.
Dr. Khan has decided. Doctor, do you have any update on Graham's knee or how it can compare?
We'll get a scan done in the morning, and we'll hope for the best.
All right, Dr. Khan, Graham Canty, thanks very much indeed.
Graham Canty, the Cork captain there after their incredible win in this year's Munster football final, and great and joyful scenes here in Cork. We have to be honest, at half-time it looked like Kerry would be walking up those steps to accept the trophy, but a dramatic turnaround in the second half by the Cork players, and fair play to them for that. Joe Brolly and Colin Rourke with me here in our studio, our superstar analysts. Analyse that for me, Joe Brolly.
Well, I have to say first, I'm delighted for Cork, you know, and I'm delighted that, you know, they've been under the yoke of Kerry for too long, and they showed real heart and passion in the second half. And the very simple expedient of putting Michael Cusson on the edge of the square. 9 balls were kicked into him, 9 high balls. A goal and 6 points came off that. Either he scored it or the people around him scored it. Only twice did Kerry come out with the ball. I mean, and that was he was the central influence in the game. I mean, even after Nicholas Murphy was sent off, and he wouldn't have given Cork a hope, Cusson just devastated them, and all of a sudden the rest of the team was galvanised. Pierce O'Neill took Darragh O'Shea to the cleaners, and Kerry also thought the game was over. And I mean, it really was. Cusson was the man today.
Well, aren't they great scenes to see here at Páirc Key from a Cork point of view? The presentation's about to take place. Let's go back to Martin.
Well, it's a moment that we really didn't think was going to happen at half-time. Jimmy O'Gorman, chairman of the Munster Council, very proud Waterford man, doing the address here. Going to say a couple of words as Cork captain Graham Canty is there to receive the trophy. Points at the break in the Munster final. They win by 5 points. They pose for the photographs. Here comes the cheer. Cork, Munster football champions 2008. And to do so, they beat the All-Ireland champions.
Lads, I'm honoured and absolutely taken back just to accept this cup on behalf of an unbelievable Cork team. We came from a very low end from last year, worked very hard over the winter, had a tough league, and came through to play very well today. I'd like to just thank a couple of people. I think first and foremost our coach Conor Coonahan, our selectors Jim Nolan, Páirc Healy, Terry O'Neill and George Sullivan. I'd also like to thank our physios, our backroom staff, and also Mick Curtin, our logistics man. Our sponsors O2, they're with us the whole time. They're very good to us all year. I think the special mention due to them, and also it's great to see Sir here as well today. You know, it's a very tough game. No quarter asked, no quarter given. Kerry played very well in the first half, and we just dug deep there in the second half, and just lucky enough came out with a win. Kerry are fine side, they're all Ireland winners and worthy winners. They're still there looking for their 3 in a row, and I just like to give them three cheers. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Thanks very much.
So then Cork are Munster champions for 2008, and for sure there has to be a huge consolation after the events of the All-Ireland final last September. I suppose nothing will quite wipe that memory away from Cork people, but certainly a victory like today's will go a long way towards achieving some of that. Still with me here in the studio we have Joe Brolly, of course, and Colin O'Rourke. I gather, by the way, that Paul Weller, the great English singer and songwriter, was at this match today. He's playing in the marquee behind us later on tonight. He was saying to somebody at half-time he doesn't know what O'Rourke and Brolly were talking about. Obviously Cork were the better team.
Yes, well, I was very surprised when he came back to Joe that he didn't make an abject apology to the people of Cork for calling into question their integrity, their manliness, their courage, their passion, because it was shown there in that second half, and all the good qualities you associate. This is what they fought for in the strike, and they showed it in the last 35 minutes. In fairness, when I saw all the young people flooding onto the pitch after the match, it would have been very disappointing for those young Cork people to go home without seeing something from Cork, and we got it in spades. But you know,
and we have the Banks being sung in the background here, which we didn't expect at half time in this match.
Yeah, but I think that the central turning point of the second half, quite apart from coming on, stop, be quiet for a second, please. Apart from Michael Cusson coming on, like the stupid sending off of Mark O'Shea for what wasn't even a foul helped to turn the game, which was going Cork's way anyway.
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come to the sending off in just a moment. But I suppose the first significant event in this, Joe Brolly, was Michael Cusson's goal, because this was probably the score that Cork needed, but by God they got it. They tore into the match.
Well, I mean, the first 3 balls that had come into Cusson, 3 points had come off him. And, you know, he was now on a roll. The Kerry defence was panicking. And the Cork team had a focal point. They now had a plan, whereas in the first half they were just backwards and forwards across the pitch. I mean, you're 6'7". You know, he didn't even necessarily have to touch that ball. And as it was a beautiful flick. But he just caused utter chaos in there, and that's all it took. In the first half, Donaghy did that. In the second half, Cusson did it. It's a really, really effective game plan. The problem last year was that they pushed him into the edge of the square and then they didn't use him. But today, out of desperation, you know, a bit in the way that after Kerry lost in 2006 and they decided
to pull forward,
put Donaghy to pull forward, drive the ball in, all of a sudden they had a focal point in the game plan, and that's what happened today. And I mean, there's no chance of Cusson being on the bench for the rest of the campaign.
Wouldn't think so.
I should say that Tomas Mulcahy's in the background here. In a loud stage whisper saying, apologise.
Tomas Mulcahy played in a Munster football final, isn't it right, Tomas?
That was when Cork football was at its lowest ebb. But
you won that.
There's an inspiring figure.
3 sendings off in this match, 2 O'Shea's. Mark O'Shea the first of those. Let's have a look at this. You don't believe this is sending off?
No, well, Nicholas Murphy went first, and but Mark O'Shea was guarding the ball there. He kept his shoulder out. He didn't.
He turned.
In fairness, he just guarded the ball, and what happened was Charlie
Again, we have to ask what the referee saw when he saw that.
Yeah, but hold on. What he heard was a big shout from the crowd. There's a hysteria now going on about players. I mean, first of all, Nicholas Murphy shouldn't have been sent off. I mean, it was a misjudgment in very wet conditions. That was just shielding the ball, turning against it. It was never a sent off.
Darrell O'Shea sending off.
I'm still on the Mark O'Shea. It wasn't a yellow card, never mind a sent off.
Nicholas Murphy couldn't complain. He got two yellow cards. He can't complain.
You need to have a bit of sense.
But what happened was the referee wanted to even it up. And the first opportunity
we don't know that. But anyway, let's hear from Pat O'Shea, the Kerry manager. He's with the Van Quillen.
Thanks, Michael. Pat, I heard a look this afternoon, and midway through the game it looked like a foregone conclusion. What happened in the second half?
Yeah, well, it was obviously a very disappointing second half performance by us. We never came out. Cork, in fairness, raised the ante, and we just didn't live with it. Michael Cusson caused us problems inside. They went direct with the ball, and there's no explanation. I mean, Cork were a good team. They upped it, and we weren't able to live with them. And unfortunately, we came out today, and second half performance just unacceptable, really.
In terms of confidence and dropping the heads from a Kerry point of view, how damaging was that Michael Cusson goal?
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, we've been in this situation before, and we've come out of it. Today is a disappointing day. But obviously we're going to have to go back. We're going to have to rebuild a small bit. We're still in the championship.
Now, you were down to 13 men by the end of the game. Did you get a look at any of the incidents that sent Mark and Darragh O'Shea off?
No, just on recollection, the ball looked exceptionally unlucky. I question, probably even if there were fouls, the last 2 incidents now. I mean, that was only just on, obviously, just recollection. I haven't seen them on tape yet, so we have to have a look later on. But, I would hope that, it would be very disappointing for the lads' point of view,
If they were out for the next game?
Absolutely. I mean, they're both very clean players. They've given an awful lot to the game, and, if it was an incorrect call, then it would be unfair.
In hindsight, do you think that the build-up to the game and the controversy surrounding Paul Galvin's suspension, did that affect the team in any way in the build-up?
Well, it didn't affect us in the first half, but unfortunately in the second half, if we were looking for excuses, we could use that. Unfortunately, we're not. We didn't perform in the second half. We were beaten by a better team in the second half, and that's sport.
Well, finally, Pat, you're looking at the qualifiers now. Would you be worried a little bit more about your 3-in-a-row prospects now?
Well, the most important thing from our point of view is that we're still in the championship. You know, we're going to lick our wounds after today. We're going to be disappointed. This team is a good team, so we're going to just try and get ourselves back to basics and train a little bit harder over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see where we're going to qualifiers.
All right, Pat, thanks very much indeed.
Well, of course, as we found 2 years ago, the fact that Kerry were beaten and Munster did not necessarily mean they were out of the championship. Conor, can I just pick up with you again on that? By the way, coming back to the Derek Fahey thing, you said he was evening up the match. I don't think that's fair.
No, I think it's completely wrong. I disagree with that totally. I just think that, you know,
he made a wrong call.
He made a wrong decision.
Yeah, but the point about it is, I'm going to be very interested now to see the CCCC, how many C's there's in it, have been very quick to suspend players where they have deemed foul play. I would hope that they will be as quick to exonerate Mark O'Shea in this particular case. Wrong decision by the referee. Mark O'Shea did nothing to warrant what I would even consider a yellow card, and I think he should be free to play in the next championship match. Kerry are going to be a fairly wounded animal now, so I wouldn't like to draw them into qualifiers.
Nicholas Murphy was sent off early in the second half, and this we really thought this was the nail in the coffin for Cork at this stage. Second yellow card for him.
I thought he was very unlucky. I mean, there were puddles of water, you know, and again, that was... Nicholas is a pretty awkward player, and he threw out his arm. There wasn't much to it, and I thought that Scanlon made a bit of a meal of it, you know, going down. But, all right, fair enough, it was a yellow card. The second one, I mean... You know, it was an awkward old thing. Look, he didn't connect with the side of his face at all. Watch, do you see it? Well, I suppose he did.
It's too obvious.
It was too obvious.
Too obvious.
No, can't defend him there. Can't defend him. Much as I'd like to.
I thought it was very strange, the Marco or the Darrow O'Shea one. Then obviously there was a little bit of ongoing tension between himself and Páirc O'Neill. But
that had been going on for a fair bit in the match.
Yes, and it looked obvious enough that one of them was going to end up on the sideline. But at that stage, anyway, Kerry had lost their shape. They had lost everything, and you know their whole midfield area had collapsed, which was so dominant in the first half, and they just weren't able to combat this long ball in. And strange too that they left Tom O'Sullivan to battle on his own and Michael Cusson.
But it wasn't always just kind of about that long ball in. I mean, Cork got some fantastic points in that second half. James Masters got a great point.
Yes.
Donald O'Connor got a great point.
Yes, but both of those scores came from knockdowns from Cusson, and Cusson just causing pandemonium. And the thing about that was the Kerry defence were having to turn and run towards their own goal, which is the nightmare for any defence. You know, and Cusson's flicking it left and right. It's breaking up the defence. Defenders like to see what's happening out in front of them. They like a ball to be kicked to a forward on the sideline. What they don't like is to be jockeyed about, and the thing they hate above all else is to be turning and running towards their own goals, not sure where the ball's going to break. And that was the thing that Cusson did. And you know, it'll give Cork great encouragement because it's a focal point for their team system. Kerry have built their team around long balls to Kieran Donaghy. It's very, very effective. Cork can now do that with Cusson because he's every bit as effective inside.
Okay, it
was interesting too that when Mark O'Shea was sent off, Cork brought on James Masters because
James Masters scored a fantastic point.
Free from the shackles of Mark O'Shea, he was able to flower
on that side. Yes.
So, you know, but in one way it's good for football too because it brought kicking back into the game, and Cork, who were hand passing in the first half, rediscovered, you know, that long kicks, accurate kicks to a big target man still works.
Okay, we'll have more on this Munster football final. By the way, we'll also be talking about the Munster hurling final, and that's right after this commercial break.
Was today. I mean, he disappeared out of the game when Páirc O'Neill went in there. I mean, obviously he's got a psychological stranglehold over Nicholas Murphy, who made no impact on him in the first half. But when Páirc O'Neill went there, coupled with Cusson, and when Cork then started to get stuck into them, I mean, you saw Kieran O'Connor up into young Walsh's face when he was brought on. That's the right level of endeavour. You know, you can't let Kerry settle. Kerry won't let you settle. You know, they're as cynical as the next team. When Cork got stuck into them, then you saw what they were made of. I mean, Gaelic football's not like hurling. And hurling, if you're slightly better than your opposition, you'll beat them by 12 points. In Gaelic football, a lesser team can beat a more talented group of individuals if they get stuck into them.
We could see that all the time. Páirc O'Neill was getting at Darrow O'Shea all the time.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I think Seamus Scanlon is a bit pedestrian in the middle of the field. The first half he was fine. He had the half-backs coming on and he could hand them the ball to run through. But, you know, when the half-backs weren't coming up to support the midfield in the second half, Seamus Scanlon and Darrow O'Shea both basically disappeared out of the game, and they weren't able to get the ball into Donaghy and Cooper inside. So, you know, obviously the wind had played an important factor in the game as well. But, you know, for me it was a triumph of basic Gaelic football principles of being able to kick the ball accurately or kick it in and have a big man inside. And like Cusson has made this impact on Tom O'Sullivan before, but Cork did not persist with that type of game in last year's qualifiers, and it fell apart in the All-Ireland final.
You can have all the tactics, all the graphs, all the plans you like. Second half proof football can be a very simple game sometimes.
Well, the thing is about Cusson, you know, because he's 6'7" and he's mobile, he's got good hands and he's got good vision. You don't have to kick in good ball to him. You know, he's really like a carbon copy of Star, and you know that made all the difference. That's because in bad conditions like that, Cork were trying to run the ball and they were weaving patterns back and forward across the field, and they were slipping and they
Isn't
were
that what was happening to Cork in the first half? They were punting some of those balls in, but there was nobody gaining possession out of them.
Yeah, but I was surprised that when, you know, Kerry started really come under pressure, that they didn't switch Aidan O'Mahony back to full back, because he's a greater physical presence, and that's what you want. You want to have somebody in there that can stand close to the full forward and at least make sure that he doesn't win clean ball, and Tom O'Sullivan would just be as good farther out. So I think Kerry will go away and there'll be a bit of thinking to do about the way, because the game was coasting along as if they didn't have to do anything, and by the time they sort of tried, you know, it was rearranging the chairs on the decks. But Cork had passion, which they hadn't got the first half, and if they go out and play like that, they now have become a serious All-Ireland team. The biggest problem the Cork have now is they wait 6 weeks for the quarter-final. Kerry going to go away, and, you know...
Mind you, Cork probably need about 6 weeks. You know, it's good for a team like that are being put together. You know, he had a bad day out against Limerick. Very difficult to see his formation. He's seen a lot more today. There's plenty to work on now. They've got a focal point for their attack. That takes work on the training. The more they work on that, the better they'll get at it. The more, you know, the more confidence will seep through them. I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't be a very formidable team. They have a lot of very good footballers.
But Kerry will have a game now maybe in 3 weeks. They may get Declan O'Sullivan back. They are still going to play a big part.
Of course they are. There's no doubt about that. But obviously, after this victory here today, Cork are going to play a big part in it as well. Let's congratulate the manager of the Cork team, because he's joining us here with the programme right now. That's Conor Coonahan. Conor, first of all, can we say many congratulations to you. There was a fantastic second half performance by your team. Colin O'Rourke and Joe Bradley are with me here in the studio. We have to be honest with you, Conor. At half-time, we weren't quite sure were you going to pull this one off.
I think Colin someone had mentioned me that he said it was going to be a handy one. He's a bit of a betting man now, he should know a bit better than that.
Well, he's here to talk to you himself, Conor.
I've had a lot of losing bets in my time, Conor, but congratulations. You played with a lot of fire and passion in the second half. I don't know what you said to them at half-time in the dressing room, but it really worked.
Yeah, I suppose, you know, these guys have been waiting 9 months for some bit of redemption, I suppose, and this is some small bit for them. A lot of things were said about them, and, you know, I think today, you know, being down a man, you know, being down 8 points, you know, they answered a lot of questions, but, you know, we're very clear that we have an awful lot of work to do before advancing further in this, but, you know, it's a step in the right direction.
Was it inspiration or desperation?
I suppose a mix. A bit of a mix. No, I mean, reality is Michael has been out injured there for a good part of the year. You know, was missing out on training. We didn't feel that he was sharp enough. We knew that he was coming close, but we felt starting him wouldn't be the right option.
I mean, we'll take it now that his place as the number 14 is safe for the rest of the season.
I suppose
we worked out 1 goal and 6 points, either scored by him or came off him, so it was a huge contribution.
A massive contribution, but the reality is, you know, we'll get down to it again next week. We have a couple of weeks now to, and, you know, with respects to Michael and everyone else, no one's place is secure in this panel from 1 to 30. You know, we pick on form, and obviously he staked a major claim there today, and without him we wouldn't have won it. But, you know, every day is a new game, and we'll take it from there.
You were also, Conor, able to bring on James Masters there in that second half and made a big impact on it. I suppose, was that prompted when Mark O'Shea was sent off?
Well, no, we kind of had the move planned as such, because I suppose again James has been suffering from niggling injuries. Fortnago didn't play. We played Tipperary, we played Galway. He wasn't able to play. Trained Thursday night, spoke to him yesterday morning. Question marks said to me yesterday, I'm not sure if I'm right for it, which he wasn't, because he picked up an injury. But yeah, we discussed it again in the warm up today, and he said, look, I'm feeling fine, and fair play to the man. He produced the goods.
And we hope that Graham Canty's injury isn't too bad. He certainly seemed to have twisted that knee quite badly.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, you know, that certainly is a concern for us as such, but we won't know until the morning. I mean, that certainly would be very sad for us if there was anything too serious there.
Okay, well, we're going to let you go in just 1 second, Conor, but I can't miss the opportunity of getting Joe Brawley and Colin O'Rourke to apologise for what they said at half time.
I'm listening, lads, I'm listening.
Hold on. We're very sorry.
Well, Conor,
In fact,
you
I'm
know
going to
me well.
resign formally now from RTE as an analyst. It's the last day you'll see me. And
Conor, you know me well from the past anyway, and the amount of times I apologise to you after games.
Lads, if it was performance related, you'd be gone long ago.
Conor, thank you very much indeed. Congratulations to you once again.
Thanks very much.
Well, I know that was like, we won't know what he said to them at half-time in the dressing room, obviously, but they couldn't keep going with the game plan they had in the first half.
No, I
it was
suppose
a disaster.
I suppose in more ways than one, it was desperation stakes. They said, listen, let's go out and play for a bit of personal pride here, and they did, and they responded well. But Conor Coonahan is the sort of man, when he was playing, he played with his heart in his sleeve. He played with great pride and passion. I came up against him a lot of times over a period of time, and he was the sort of fella that would at least say when he came off the field every day, well, I gave it my best. And I'd say that that's what he asked the Cork players, and they have responded to him.
Almost closing, we're going to talk hurling in a moment, almost closing up with you two lads. Final word from Joe Brawley.
Well, just, a very, very encouraging day for Cork. They've got a lot to build on now. A lot of the basics are in place. They have strong ball winners around the middle. I mean, with Cusson on the edge of the square, he's going to cause a huge amount of damage. The more they work on that in training, the more they'll be able to refine it. And, they're in an All-Ireland quarter-final with serious
that there's nobody to touch Kerry in the championship this year is obviously gone.
It's a good thing for the All-Ireland series. It's a good thing. Now, Kerry could come back and bite everyone as they did a couple of years ago, but it's good for a lot of other counties who'd say, we are in with a real shout here now.
Okay, lads, thank you very much indeed for being with us. Nice to have had Joe Brawley for the last couple of years here on the panel. We still have more to come here on the Sunday Game Live, but at this stage here on the programme we're going to let Joe Brawley and Colin O'Rourke take their leave of us, because for the next while we're going to look ahead to next weekend and the other provincial side of the Munster.